G'day, folks. It is Down Under Sigma time. My gosh, it has been an absolute while. I am the coach, as always, and my co-host, a man who's been absent from the channel for months now, but has been resurrected from the dead like any good Ossiarch Bone Reaper when Arcane the Black's around. It is Shadowhammer. G'day, g'day, g'day.
Hey, long time no see.
And it's been a long time, dude.
It's been a very long time. I think last time was probably CanCon. And that was it.
Did we have that practice game with your missus around? Was that before CanCon or after CanCon?
That was before CanCon, and that's when she realized that this is a very addictive thing. Yeah.
So It's been a good 3 or 4 months since we've seen each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, sounds about right.
How have you been? What's going on? What's in the world of Liam?
Huge life changes. One, started a new job. Actually, no, I started 2 new jobs, but one job is currently on hold. And then I started uni. So it's been doing like uni life and work life. And it's been busy. Super, super busy. But what about you?
Yeah, man, just working hard or hardly working, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah, man, lots have happened. Obviously, CanCon, we had such an amazing weekend. We then and we'll talk about this obviously in the topic of the show, but it's been work. It's been fighting for survival, putting on some medieval gear and going to the shops looking for toilet paper and hoarding off the disease-ridden folks to get myself some pasta and some rice. But no, man, it's been good. It's there's obviously some changes that have happened. I don't have to go around COVID, but just keeping ourselves safe, keeping myself mentally and physically and emotionally. I think physically has been the part that struggled the most since gyms are closed. And yeah, it's I'm kind of in that like storming now norming phase where kind of life is normal and kind of settled and just in the routine of the norm. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's still frustrating, but it's at least normal.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, I think when everything started locking down and stuff, like I was just like working. I was like, oh, okay, like this is normal for me currently. But then everyone else is just like, oh, like seeing people working from home and stuff. I was like, okay, this is like a whole different ball game, which has been good. So yeah, it's been weird. Hey, like I literally was starting to go to the gym, and then like when this whole thing happened, I was like, cool, that's definitely not happening anymore. But yeah,
there goes all your gains.
So many gains. I legitimately though just needed to like build core strength because I have none. Because of me sitting on a chair for like 6 years thanks to my old job. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good trying to get that back.
A lot's happened. A lot's happened in the world. Hello, everyone who's joining us live on YouTube or Facebook, and g'day to everyone who is joining us on replay on the podcast as well. So it's great to have you guys. It's been a long time since we've done this. I think the last show that we did, Liam, was we did the post CanCon wrap up with James Page and his award-winning tournament Zench list. That caused a little bit of controversy pre-FAQ, but no, long story short, he still deserved the victory to go 6 wins at CanCon, the world's largest event, still deserves recognition. So won't take that away from Jimmy.
Like, even no matter what, like even if like they said no, you can't play that Zench book or anything, he would have found an army and like did the math and been like, this is going to win CanCon. Like that's James Page, like 100%. So yeah, I don't think it really mattered like if it was the FAQ or not. It was just like no matter what the rule states was, he was going to find a way to do well. So yeah, and I think on that show as well, I had some internet issues. So technically, our last show was before CanCon with me.
Actually, you dropped off. You were useless that show. So yeah, and look, a lot's changed, man. Like I'm seeing some people in the chat, and I do really feel bad. Some people have lost their jobs at this particular time. I know one particular person. I had to cancel Adepticon this week. Not Adepticon, Midwest Meltdown. So I was going to America in July, but unfortunately, that's not looking very good. Flights kind of forced me to make a decision, in the next week or two. But I know when I made that post on Twitter, a few people had, not only felt sorry for me and then told me they lost their jobs. I'm like, shit, I've got a first world problem that I can't go to another country and play with my war dollies when people have lost their jobs. In the context of all of this, I'm very fortunate and very lucky. And I do feel sorry for anyone who has been put in a position where they are at risk with, with their roles or they've lost their roles. But I hope you land on your feet and you find a great opportunity as well. So I think just acknowledging that as well. It is tough, and this probably ties in nicely with the topic, is that we are all going through a really tough time right now, where we're not hanging out with each other, we're not seeing each other, we're not being able to do the things that we normally do, whether it's being active, whether it's hanging out with our friends, going to nightclubs, whatever your thing is. And I think, being isolated, and it's a physical isolation, hopefully not a social isolation, and I think we've gone through a lot over the last couple of months, and I think this is at least what I would like out of today is, what can someone take away from this if they are having a tough time?
It's a crappy time, but it's the best way I can describe it at the moment. Like the best way I described it at work today, it's just like a nightmare that will go away. Hopefully soon. It's not going to be here forever. So once this whole nightmare is over, it's just upwards from there. And I think everyone's going to learn something from this as well. Like I've learned a lot, and I know that I'm one of the lucky few that still is able to work. Even though I'm at the front lines, kind of like not as like in the medical department, but like in a retail department where I'm like dealing with people every day who may or may not have it. So I have to like put through a lot of measures, but I know it's rough and I know it's tough, but it's the thing that we're going to be talking about today is about like also about community. So, which we'll talk about how it's going to be helping with people coping with stuff like this. Part of our
big
topic.
Shout out to everyone in the chat as well. You got, the Failed Charge. We've got Ken. We've got Cinderfall Gaming. We've got Autumn. We've got Deke. There's a lot of things that we're all missing. Look, before we get into that topic, maybe let's acknowledge what's actually happened over the last couple of months. And is there anything that's excited you? Anything that's big that's happened in your world? Are you excited about any of the recent reveals that Games Workshop has put out? I know we've got one coming in the next couple of days as well. So I'm looking forward to that one.
I think the one thing I'm super excited about is the Daughters of Cain Warband. Those models are epic. And also I'm excited for this rumor engine of an Onseric Bone Reaper axe that was posted. I'm trying to find the date. That was posted March 31st. March 31st. That looked awesome. I am not a fan of the Luminef, but I know other people are. So I'm excited to see how they play on the table. That's what I'm excited about, to see how they work.
G'day, War Machine, Brent, MB. We've got a lot of cool people in the chat, by the way. So what's happened? So what have we had? So we've had some releases, or at least some reveals. We've had the Luminef. We've had the Sons of Behemoth. We've had a reveal of the Daughters of Cain Warband, the Underworld Warband. We've had a rumor bill that looks like an Ossiarch Bone Reaper, and this week we had what looked like a Stormcast, or at least some form of comet that is related to something in order. Yeah,
I reckon that is a Witch Hunter chamber, but don't quote me on that. But that's what I'm kind of hoping it is. It'd be awesome to see like a whole thing about killing wizards. I think that'd be really cool. Since this whole edition, like AOS 2.0, is all been about magic. So it'd be cool to see some. By
the way, I think I said Behemoth. It's actually Behemoth. So apologies to the AOS linguists out there. I don't know what to say. I'm sure the Gargans will stop me if I do that again. But we've had a lot of cool stuff that's been released. We've obviously had the Seraphon Battle Tome as well that's come out and been FAQ'd. Bastillodons are the hotness in that book, or at least one of them.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Also, salamanders I think are legit. I'm pretty sure that's what I read.
I saw Darren Watson is building out a list that will include the Boatman to take his salamanders around the board, which is scary as all hell. That man is on another level.
Okay. Yeah. I just, when I read the rules for the salamanders, I was like, cool. That's cool. But yeah, I'm kind of sad though, because the Seraphim book literally came out, and then like a week and a bit later, it's like lockdown. So like I haven't been able to have any practice games with like against them to see like how they actually play. But so at the moment, just currently just theorying it out, working out like when this is all over, turn up to the table and just learn what I've missed out. So yeah.
Well, it's been interesting because I've watched this week probably 2 or 3 battle reports on. So a lot of people in Age of Sigmar, this is probably something that we haven't talked about as well, is there's a game on Steam. It's a computer game called Tabletop Simulator that has been used to play different games all over the world, various games, and some crazy people on Crack who have built an Age of Sigmar mod that allows them to actually play. So people have gone out there and built the different scenarios with the mission packs, with where the objectives are. They've built all the different armies, the endless spells, the war scrolls. It's pretty crazy, and I saw 2 games of Seraphon this week. One was against Zench, one was against maybe it was Daughters of Cain. But in action, it was a gentleman who's actually going to be on my faction focus this week, Cameron King, absolutely annihilating with some of the list tech that's coming out of Seraphon. So, and I don't think he's been using a Bastillodon, which is funnily enough.
He's not using a Bastillodon, or he is using Bastillodon?
I don't think so. He's had some Ripidactors or some Pterodons. He's had
Pterodons are awesome.
I had a couple of skinks. I think maybe some chameleon skinks to hide on the terrain piece to give them a really sexy buff. And I don't think he's had any Bastillodons.
Yeah, see, like for what I've been doing online is playing the Underworlds online, which has been cool. Like that. Like, I think when Underworlds first came out, I loved that game. And then as the game progressed, it was just so many cards. So the fact that it's like been online, it's been good just to kick back and just get that fix. So yeah, but I definitely need to jump on Tabletop Simulator. I've been hearing some good things about it, especially during these times that we have.
Yeah, I've set mine up, and one of the gentlemen in my Discord, Rocco, is going to teach me this weekend on how to actually. So I've built out my team. I've got my mods in. So I built out my Gloomspite Git army, and he's actually going to teach me the fundamental mechanics of the game. So it'll be a nice way to kind of, and we can talk more about this in the show, but it's a nice way to play around and connect in Age of Sigmar without physically being at the table. And given we don't know how long we're going to be away from. It might be something that's going to help us, at least in the middle ground. It's not going to 100% replace Age of Sigmar tabletop, but it's a nice replacement if this lockdown is going to be for a while.
Yeah, it's just pretty much coping pretty much to get that fix that we need with the plastic crack. But I'm just trying to think, is there any other news? But I think the big one is just the High Elves.
The Lumineth?
Yeah, I think that's the big one that's coming out. But we just haven't got the date.
And we had that video. We had the 3 different Gargants that had got shown off.
Oh, yeah, we got those.
No doubt, probably this weekend they might actually show some of the models, showing off the Kraken, the Siege, and the Siege Breaker, and there was 3 different ones. So I think that could be really cool. I know I've already bought 3 Gargants that should be on the way this week or next week. I even got my old Gargant that used to come from the Dogs of War, the guy with the big rock. He'll be being brought into the army.
Old school. Freaking love it.
OG. When Rob Sons goes out there and says, I've always been a Gargant player, I can at least say, yeah, I've owned a couple of Gargants before this. So I'm not such a filth chaser. Yes, I'm a Hello Heart player from the past. I've got 3 Hurricanes up there, a whole bunch of wizards. I'm not a bandwagoner. Or am I?
Yeah, I'm a bandwagoner.
We've had a lot of cool stuff. A lot of stuff's happened. I think, fundamentally we've had a lot of changes, a lot of cool stuff. We've had things like Adepticon cancelled. We've had South Coast GT cancelled. I know C's been cancelled. I think I was really fortunate to play at the last Age of Sigmar event in the world, or at least around that time, which was SAGT. The world kind of started to collapse and started kind of going to lockdown after mid-March. Holy wow, look at the chat. They're going crazy. People are loving the Gargants, and some people are painting 6 Gargants, and they're talking about how amazing Tabletop Simulator is. I might put in the channel description, there's maybe an instruction guide that I got given that I'll happily share for people if they want to jump on a Tabletop Sim.
I might jump on that after this, just set up my Doors of Cain list. But
you pay like $15-20. You've got to pay for the game Tabletop Simulator, but then once you've got the game, the mods are free, and you just plug in the mods for the different scenarios, the different tables, the different armies that you've got, and then you kind of build out through the mods. So we're all kind of learning together, and people are putting up
So it's a very modular game format.
It looks and feels like Age of Sigmar. It truly does. The first game or two might take you an extra hour or so, but you are learning a new mechanic. But once you've kind of got the mechanics down, you can move things around pretty easily. It kind of speeds up a little bit as well. The dice are kind of built in. It's good. It is good. I'll fully acknowledge that it is good, and it's going to help us get continue being positive.
Yeah, sick. I'm keen to check it out. I just haven't played a game since the week after CanCon, where I had I think it was with Chris Welfare, and it was from Mortally Wounded, and I think it was my ETC list that I was supposed to take in August, and that was it. And after, I kid you not, after that game, I literally bought the model I needed for my ETC list, and then now I'm now just starting a new army.
I want to call out Deke's comment here, and it's a nice little segue. And he's mentioned that it's the best time to do real hobby. And I've actually kind of looked at this time and said, look, I can't buy anything really new. A lot of the stores are closed. I can't really get a lot of product. So I've been doing a lot of hobby in attempt to kind of clear out the gray and try to paint up projects that I haven't touched for a while. I know with the topics around burnout as well. So maybe I'll throw it over to you first. How are you going with your hobby since CanCon? Where are you at? Have you done anything? Or are you truly in this burnout phase?
I got burnt out the week before CanCon. So I don't know if anyone spoke to me during CanCon about it, but I stopped painting my army for CanCon 3 or 4 days beforehand due to health issues where my whole right side got super stiff where I couldn't actually sit down and paint anymore. So I actually had to borrow 20 Mortec Guard for my list because that was all I had to finish to paint, but I just couldn't even finish painting the shields and everything because I was in so much pain. I even got my girlfriend to do the finishing of the basing and stuff just because I couldn't sit down anymore. And then after that, after CanCon, didn't touch a brush, haven't touched a brush still, haven't built a model. But what I have been doing and what's been helping me is talking to people who have been hobbying or who have been playing games or who've been working on stuff. Been talking to them about lists, ideas, through Discord, WhatsApp, and everything, just to keep me motivated, being okay, when I do have the spare time, I can do it. So really, I haven't done anything, but I do want to get onto it. So yeah, really want to start a new army and then also work on a current one.
Well, it's an interesting journey. And before I kind of retort to what you just said, I just want to highlight what Autumn has mentioned when it comes to Tabletop Simulator as well. And by the way, they're not a sponsor. I get no money from this. I just truly believe this is actually a really good product. But Autumn was mentioning, and I got to witness this game where Autumn played a gentleman in America called Rocco, and Autumn is in Spain. So it was pretty amazing to watch live someone in Spain play someone in America, which is an opportunity that is so rare. So that was super interesting to me as well. So what have I done? I guess from a hobby point of view. So I set myself a few goals, and I've tried to kind of keep myself motivated. I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to buy. I was planning on buying Blood Bowl. I've started playing the Blood Bowl video game, which has been really cool. I've had to play some people over the internet, which was great. But I actually got really into it, and I was talking to Dan Brewer about it. And I said, look, I'm going to buy it from Games Workshop. Literally the day that they closed. They closed on the Tuesday, and Games Workshop opens up on a Wednesday in my area, and I couldn't buy it. So I'm like, right, instead of getting frustrated and I can't buy Blood Bowl, what am I going to do? And I've set myself a challenge that I'm going to paint all of my endless spells before Games Workshop is meant to open back, which is the 2nd of May. So I've set myself an endless spell challenge, and I've got about 10 endless spells I've never used, like the Maelstrom, the Grave Tide, some of the stuff from Forbidden Power I'm just never touching, and it's sat there in my cupboard for 2 years. I've had 140 flagellants sitting there built, ready to go. And then the moment they got pulled from the Cities of Sigmar, I got really demotivated. But I'm like, I'm going to paint these flagellants. So I'm contrasting the hell out of them. And I'm trying to kind of catch up to I built my Lord of Change. It's been sitting in my box for a while. 3 years ago, I bought a Forge World model called the Incarnated Elemental of Fire. It was
remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this. You found a loophole.
I found
remember
a loophole. The secret list tech where basically it's a destruction model, but it could be summoned by a fire mage that was sitting in the cities of, well, the battle mage of Cities of Sigmar, formerly Collegiate Arcane.
Yeah, Collegiate Arcanum. I remember this, and you had a battalion idea. I remember.
I had secret list tech. I was going to summon this this free destruction model in an order army, and then it all changed, and I couldn't do it anymore.
I think you were thinking about that 9 months before, like, summoning was free. I remember, like,
yes, because I couldn't do it because summoning points were stuck to the Grand Alliance, so I couldn't use summoning points to bring in a destruction model. But then it all got changed, and then it stopped me. But anyway, it sat there for like 3 years. I built it. I'm going to prime it. I'm going to paint it. Just trying to clear the backlog. So that when Sons of Behemoth come out, when all this new cool stuff comes out, I won't have any guilt that I can go out and buy some cool stuff because I've kind of cleared out as much of the grey as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good option. Like, I should be doing that, but right now I've been very, like, I don't know, I just want to start something new. Like, I really want to go back to Daughters. Because I remember you and we chatted about me going back to Daughters like a year ago, and you told me to like look at, because I used to run, for anyone who didn't know this, I used to run 90 Witch Elves. I was that guy. I made so many friends, like so many. And then
popular guy,
popular always. I kid you not, made 0 friends. And it was Hagnar, everything. And I remember you said to me, like, look at doing an army what you didn't do before. So that was like super snake heavy. So at the moment I've been writing lists to do that. So I can just kind of like be excited, but like technically, even though I've done Daughters before, but it's still like a new army. But yeah, like my plastic, I think I cleared out most of my gray plastic when I sold stuff to fund for OBR.
Yeah, I've still got my Sylvanet sitting there that I was going to do until City's book come out that week.
You could still do them. They can just be part of Living City.
Yeah. Look, let's get into the real topic. I think we're kind of like dancing around the topic. You know, Wes Horace has said Blood Bowl sick. Absolutely. I'd love to talk a little bit more about Blood Bowl and side games that are helping at least me stay out of a hobby burnout. You know, Deke has mentioned, you know, things like audio books, which has been awesome as well. Thankfully, Games Workshop's been putting out these like 99p audio books, which has been awesome. So Liam, you wanted to pick this topic. You came to me with this topic around hobby burnout. So can you set the scene? Let's start this legit topic. Let's dig into it, and let's try to find some ways to get ourselves out of this hobby burnout, or some ideas for people who are struggling.
Yeah, so pretty much this topic came about literally near the end of CanCon, where I myself, as I said, got it like pretty much kind of like injured myself just by sitting down too much painting, because I was painting like 7 days straight, or 14 days straight, and completely stuffed it up, and it just burnt me out a little bit. Like painting like 30 Mortek guard killed me. Like I was over it. And it burnt me out hardcore, to the point where I kind of didn't get excited about CanCon for a bit. Like I was like, I don't really want to go because I'm just burnt out and I don't really want to do it. And then luckily my girlfriend is super supportive, and she says, you better go because you've already spent like all this time doing this. I was like, okay, fair call. And I'm had a great time at CanCon. Awesome time, as always. And then I realized that like I know that so many other people would be the same, where like you've just rushed an army, or you been super busy with work, and then you just paint straight away at home, and then you just kind of like you just burn yourself out, where you lose energy to do anything like that, or like you just lose motivation. Like you decided to start a new army where it's like 30 or 60 witch elves, and you realize you have to paint them in like a month and a half, and you just burn yourself out. So I know that like a few people would go through this, and I think you went to your Discord and we realized that a fair few people went through the same thing. Like,
yeah. And I might set my, add my 2 cents to what you've just said. So for anyone who's not in Australia or New Zealand, CanCon is our mecca. It is the holy weekend that Age of Sigmar players come together in our nation's capital. It is the world's largest Age of Sigmar event. It was 240 players registered. I think it ended at 119, so 219. It's the biggest event in the world. We had people like Joe Pagano come from America. We had some Scottish people come over, some New Zealand people come over. And because it's such a big event, we all start preparing for CanCon June, July, August, September kind of time. So we all start thinking about and preparing up till CanCon, which is the late January.
Yeah,
it's on our Australia Day national holiday. But we work on our armies, and often people do a new year, new army for CanCon. They want to debut their new paint scheme, their new battle of their board, their display board. They want to demonstrate their terrain pieces. They want to play new armies, and they put a lot of focus and love in this CanCon, and then they get to reap the rewards in February and March and April and all the other events that kind of follow along. We had Summer Smash in February. We had SAGT in March. We were meant to have Anzac Cup and Brishammer in April, Sydney Slaughter in June. There's all these events that kind of roll on, and CanCon starts our tournament year. And then, there's all these events that lead up to the next CanCon. And what was really interesting is that, you work your ass off, and then it's like, I'm going to reap the rewards. And then the world kind of collapsed. And for some people like me, I use tournaments as a deadline to build and paint and practice. SAGT or SAGT, I built some two steam tank gun haulers. So I built and painted them, and I was building up some KO halflings. So I had some engine riggers that I kit bashed with the Blood Bowl halflings, and they were all kind of in preparation for tournaments. And now that there's this deadline gone, it's like, why bother?
What I do? Yeah.
Why should I? What's the motivation for me to pick up the paintbrush? Why should I paint? There's no goal. There's no, and some of these things can be really draining. Some of these things are very, tactical, so very detailed. And it's like the motivation disappears, right?
Yeah. So I lost my motivation halfway through because it was just burning me out. And as you said, I use tournaments as a deadline. I always have used it as a deadline. If I wanted to try a new list, a new thing, let's just say I wanted to paint an extra 10 more tech for a list, I would just be like, cool, let's do it for Brishammer or Anzac Cup. And I would just be like, cool, let's do it. And then if the event's not there, you just don't do it. And then since during these times, since there's no events, there's been parts where it's what's the point of hobbying during this time? For me at the moment, I'm a competitive player. So I'm there's no event or anything. I don't really need to. But recently my mind has changed because, and as we'll talk about soon, because we talked about how some people are a bit down, but they can't travel. You and I before the show, we talked about how we can't travel, but we also decided saying hey, look at this way. This gives us some time to save up money to do that trip that we want to do. So this is the right time to start doing that army that you wanted to do and do a kick-ass job of it. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. We were talking, I can't remember if I mentioned it on this show yet or not, but I'd cancelled Midwest Meltdown. So I was meant to go to America in July. I was going to be playing with Mr. Mephisto at the teams tournament on the Friday. I grudged a gentleman by the name of Warsoren, he's an awesome mad lad. He was going to be my round one game. Before that, I was going to go play a battle report with Rerolling Ones in Seattle. I was lining up stuff with 2+ Duff Dog. There's all this stuff that was happening for July. And then this kind of all happened, right? And I want to be mindful that I don't paint because of tournaments. And, Huey in the chat made a really good comment that, he tries to, or he refuses to paint for the tournament rush. I'm not a tournament rush guy. I'm not going to be painting, the morning of the tournament, but it's a nice way to at least motivate yourself or kind of keep yourself on the hook with a deadline to say, I have to do this in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, as opposed to rushing and doing a really bad job. But I think without that that internal or that external pressure, you need to find it from within. You need to find your own motivation. And, Deke was mentioning earlier in the chat that, the audiobooks are a great way not only to entertain yourself, but to keep the inspiration juices flowing. Cinderfall Gaming was talking about, the community and the connectedness from the likes of the Skypes and the Discords to keep yourself kind of positive and motivated. And I think there's a lot of tactics and insights that we can talk about here that have helped us out of it or keep our head above the hobby waters.
Yeah, exactly. Like my gaming group, Clan Filth, I have Ben Spinetti, who's posting up some awesome stuff of his KO. And then you have Ash, who's now smashed out, I think, 3 types of, I would say armies, but like they could be warbands, like warband armies. He's like finished 2 now due to isolation and stuff. So seeing that stuff is kind of like motivating me to be like, okay, like this is the time to start doing some, even though I'm not isolated, like I'm still out going for work, but like due to there's no events or anything, I should still be hobbying. Like I still should be acting like I have a deadline.
Well, it's interesting because that's when I've said, screw it. One of my hobby goals right now is to paint those 140 flagellants that have been sitting in my desk because I don't have that deadline. I don't need to find a way to answer the meta, and I don't have to think about OBR and Zench and Seraphon, and I'm buying and painting in preparation to do well at a tournament. I can look at my hobby desk and say, you know what? I've had this Lord of Change sitting there for a while, or you know what? I haven't touched those Shadespire warbands for a while. I'm going to paint that up. And it allows me, and, Andrew Grixty here has made a really good comment that he has done more hobby in the last 2 weeks than he has done in 20 years because he can start thinking about things a little bit differently. I'm sure Andrew has his own ideas, but I guess it's the way we use this. But at the same time, there's a lot of external people out there saying, putting pressure on us, like, you've got to learn a new skill. You've got to be super proactive. And that can be not helpful.
Yeah, like I've had people come into my work buying pianos and stuff because they want to learn a piano just to keep their mind busy. But like I've been like, I have other mates though, like one of my good mates, Robbie, who doesn't really play the game, but he enjoys painting. He wants to learn. He's like, since this isolation, I want to learn non-metallic metal. So like he's been using this time to like improve his painting and learning his skill. Where he's like, I've always wanted to know how to do this, so he's gone off and done it. And he goes through Burnout all the time. Like he was painting a whole bunch of iron jaws because he really wanted to learn how to play the game. He got most of it done, but he just got burnt out. And then now he's just like, cool, took a burnout break, got back into it. Now he just wants to learn a new skill due to this whole isolation thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great things that I'll come back to in the chat very soon. But you were someone who went through hobby burnout. I found ways to keep myself out of hobby burnout. I don't feel like I got to a point where I didn't want to touch a paintbrush. I've kind of kept myself busy in different ways. But before we kind of get to the burnout part, I want to know, like, how did you know that you hit the wall? What were those signs that you recognized in yourself or others recognized in you that you realized that you are in this state that isn't you?
I didn't want to talk about Warhammer for about 2.5 weeks.
Which is crazy because you always respond to me and you're always throwing, various list ideas at me and secret tech, and you're always throwing crazy stuff to me on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Warhammer for like 2.5 weeks. Like I just didn't. Like I came back from CanCon and I kid you not, didn't touch Azir, didn't touch War Scrolls, I didn't even look at Warhammer community for news. Like I didn't like. I'm the guy that wakes up first thing in the morning on a Monday to see what's on the pre-orders for next week. Like that was like my routine. Like every Monday, boom, get it done. And then now it's just I knew it was bad when I was like, I have no interest of what's going on. Like just didn't care. Like that's when I knew I had it burnt out, and I was just like, what's going on kind of thing. And part of it for me was like my experience of CanCon for what happened to me during the event. Like I had had a good time socially, but games wise and what happened during my games, I didn't have a good time. So I got really turned off of what happened then. I think I spoke to you during the event and you knew some of the stuff that I was going through with most of my games where
the Sunday strippers.
That
I didn't
and,
forget about bunny ears. Sam
Yeah.
Morgan would not let me forget about that.
yeah, she was great.
But
Anyways,
that
anyway.
shows that you would hit burnout before CanCon, right?
Yeah,
and I'm sure that there were things that led into CanCon that because you would hit a state of burnout, that maybe, you know, if you had your time again or you weren't in that mood, things may have been a little bit different. But yes, there were some things that happened and some lulls that might have had from the side.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like I had like, it was one of those things where, as we talked about like in one of our shows, like with mental health and stuff, it's one of those things where like what happened to me during some of those games, I was like very down about it. Like I was very like, this isn't me. This shouldn't be happening to me. Like what's going on? And it kind of like, it really turned me off with the game. Like I think it was like by game 3, even though I won game 3, I wanted to like just stop playing. Like I was not interested, but I didn't want to do that to Clint being like, by the way, I drop out. So I just was like, cool, let's keep going. And like, yeah, it was really rough for me. And then came back home and you have everyone being like, oh, I want to try this army, I want to try that army. And I was like, I have no interest in talking about Warhammer. Like I want to talk about video games. I want to talk about what I'm doing for my study. I want to talk about my new job kind of thing. And I kid you not, like I literally called up my girlfriend and being like, hey, can we just like sit and just watch movies for the next like 3 or 4 days? Because she's like, oh, don't you want to like paint or do hobby? I'm like, no, I have no interest in that. And she was like, right. So even she knew something was up, and she tried to push me to do something. She's like, why don't you just like build something? Why don't you like, and I was just like, I have no interest currently at the moment. And yeah, it got that bad where I just was like, I had no interest in it. And then, then it sparked up again thanks to a certain Discord chat and a hobby chat. So yeah, which has been good.
But yes, absolutely. And there are probably people who are listening right now who are feeling that right now. They're probably looking at the social pressures of, you know, people on Twitter and Instagram sharing all their wonderful work in progress. And look at me, I've learned OSL or non-metallic metal. And they're probably sitting here going, I haven't touched a paintbrush in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I've been looking at this kit and I want to build it. I just can't be asked. So there are people even outside of CanCon who are feeling that right now, saying, I'm not going to bother. And
I kid you not, I have Catacross like literally in box still, like one of the coolest Aussie Bone Reaper models in box still in my display cabinet. Like I want to build him, I want to paint him. He's there. Like I know I want to do him, but it's motivating me to do it. Like I'm looking at that box right now being like, I really want to crack it open right now and just like open it. It's just been trying to get it going.
But 4 weeks ago, you would have looked at Catacross and you probably wouldn't have even like glanced at it, or you would have just looked at it, felt no emotion, and would have just turned a blind eye, even though that is such an amazing model. Yeah,
I literally would just be like, cool. Like, yeah, it's been one of those things where like, yeah, it got that bad. Yeah.
So, you know, obviously, you know, we can dwell on the negativity, and you know, things are challenging and it's tough, and there are priorities outside of the hobby. But at the same time, we all came to the hobby for a reason, whether it's for social interaction, whether it and look, I'm not a Witcher guy, but there was some famous super awesome dude, the Witcher guy, who has put Twitter or Instagram in meltdown because he was painting a.
Do you actually know it? Do you actually not know his name?
No, Witcher man.
He's also Superman.
I'm a Marvel guy. I want nothing to do with DC.
His name's something Cavill. I'm trying to remember. It's Henry Cavill or something. I think it is.
All right. I'm sure I'm going to get blasted for this.
It's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal.
All right. Well, I don't know him. I don't personally know him. I don't watch Witcher. I watched it for like half an episode. But the point is that, you know, reading his comments, he was talking about the soothing and calming effects of sitting down and painting a model. Henry, his name.
Henry Cavill. Did I say Harry?
I don't know what you said, but I'm copying his name in the chat nonstop now. So Henry Cavill, but he was, you know, he's blown up Twitter and Instagram, and I've seen so many blogs about him from various sites that they've called this thing up called Warhammer, which is somewhat a way to learn a new skill, to calm yourself, to focus, to do a distraction that is outside of whatever life's issues are.
And Games Workshop stocks went through the roof.
And yeah, their stock went through the roof, even though they've stopped trade, right? But yes, they're still going with his name. Yes, Henry Cavill. Yes, all right. I'm sure I'm going to have to go learn this now. But the point is that
what you need to do is actually watch the show.
I'm not watching Superman. He's like the boringest superhero in the world.
No, The Witcher.
And I've watched Witcher once, and I didn't get it. I didn't play the video game, so I don't get it. I'm like, this is bizarre.
I didn't even play the video game, and I understood it. You have to watch the whole season to understand it.
Not wasting. No.
Yeah, it's really good. The
Tiger King is where I'm at. Tiger King is where I'm at. I'll watch that again.
Way better than the Tiger King. The whole chat will tell you right now that it's better than the Tiger King. Anyways, keep going. So he blew up Twitter. He blew up the internet.
But also, Cinder4 Games made a really good comment as well. There's a wrestler called Shayna Baszler as well, who's been posting some stuff about corn, which is also like...
Yes, I saw this. There were wrestlers who were like, for the blood of corn. It was huge. Yeah.
But like, you're not a wrestling fan, and you know Shayna Baszler. So
I don't know the name, but I saw the tweet.
Long story short, there's a lot going on. We have a hobby. The hobby is enjoyable, and we've all come to the hobby for different reasons. So I guess, like using the time we have, whether it's going to be half an hour, 7 hours, we're going to talk. Let's talk about ways that we've kind of got out of our funk, or maybe, kept ourselves motivated in this challenging time. And it's been interesting, right? It's been super interesting. So maybe we'll start with you, for someone who actually got out of his funk. How have you started? Like what worked? You started talking about the Discord. Like, talk to me about that Discord experience.
So some guy called Anthony invited me to his Discord chat, and I kid you not, if you're not part of it, I'm sure he has it linked on his Twitter and stuff. It's super supportive. Like, I have never seen so much people in different levels, like beginner, immediate, experience, hobbyists, just talking about lists, hobby, like a whole bunch of random stuff. Like, who was it that got me back into DUS? There was one of you guys who were like just nonstop talking about DUS.
Was it Autumn?
Autumn, who's in the chat right now, kidding not, started seeing their comments and everything in the Discord, being like, yeah, this is what I've been doing with like thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love what you're thinking. I think they were talking about Scourge Runner Chariots, and I was like, that's like, I would literally say like, that fills a hole. Like, that legitimately fills a hole. And that got me really excited, and seeing some people like working on some stuff. And I think it was the same person who different person did some conversions of some daughters. And I was like, yeah, sick. Like, this is really cool. And that got me really excited, like heaps. And then, Autumn, cheers for that. And then we got, and then my Clan Filth chat, I left the Clan Filth chat like after CanCon, and then I got invited back, and then those guys started getting me hyped up again. Like Chris Welfare got me hyped up again, big time, being like, yeah, let's think about this and this and this, like sending me lists. And I was like, yeah, this is sick. So that really helped out heaps, that chat there. Just talking to people again, just re-sparking that like thing. Like I had the ETC chat going on at the same time, but that was very much like talking about competitive list builds and stuff. And like that got me reminding me, like, I have ETC. But it didn't get me going like, I need to paint this, I need to paint that. It got me like, oh, I just need to get Catacross. So I bought Catacross and didn't think anything of it. So
maybe the point there, and we'll pause this point for a second, is the importance of community. So whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's a Discord, and that was unplanned, by the way. It's not like I'm trying to spruik the Discord. There are lots of cool Discords out there. There's WhatsApp groups. There are Twitter, there is Instagram, there is Reddit, there are so many places that you can chat, like a gaming group, Facebook Messenger, or whatever it might be, right? And I guess what I'm hearing from you, Liam, is the importance of while you're physically isolated, not being socially isolated, to keeping yourself in conversations, talking about the fun stuff. It might not be the most competitive stuff, but in this kind of downtime, it's like, I want to run snakes. I want to do flagellants. What's the list look like with 5 bloodthirsters?
Just to let everyone know, 20 snakes is competitive. It's not fluffy.
It's not fluffy, but at the same time, it's not like you're building for a tournament coming up, and you're deep diving into this analysis. It's more about you're removing the pressure a little bit to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
You know, things like Sylvaneth, right? You know, like playing around, thinking about, you know, what would Sylvaneth look like, and, you know, maybe running 3 Durthus around. Who knows? But
that'd be fun.
The Discord for me has been important because we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff. You know, people are sharing photos of their dogs, their food. People are chatting about lists. They're sharing hobby progress. And randomly setting up.
Do we have one about music and stuff? Like we have like a whole other one.
People sharing songs, people talking about wrestling. I'm a massive wrestling fan, so we talked about, you know, WrestleMania and all like some of these documentaries about Chris Benoit. There's people stuff that's going on, and it's keeping us socially connected without having to physically be at a tournament.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just been one of those things where that's helped me out heaps. Like constantly been helping out. It's just like for me, right? Like I've realized that one of the and things with some social groups, like with some of the WhatsApp chats and everything, like sometimes you just forget about them, and then when you decide to go back into them, you start scrolling and just catching up and stuff and reading on some stuff. It's been good. It's been really, really good.
So I guess find your space, whether it's a Discord, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's your regular gaming crew. You know, if you are a part of a gaming crew or a local gaming store, I've seen one of the local gaming stores, one of the members just set up a little Discord, because obviously they used to hang out on a Thursday and paint and play. But now that they can't do that, they're doing their own little mini chat. So find your community, take the initiative to create one.
They're doing, I think I know the gaming group, they're doing Zoom meetings, doing Zoom hobby meetings.
Zoom, Skype.
Yeah, there's technology there for social. Like I remember you and I decided to, I wasn't even doing hobby. I was doing a uni assessment. I did a uni assessment and I jumped on the voice chat on Discord, and everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you hobbying? I'm like, I'm not hobbying. I'm just doing my uni assessment, but I want to talk Warhammer while I'm like that got me excited again, being like, oh, even though I don't have time to actually paint, but being able to like go into like a voice chat or something like, or a social thing, be able to do like what I have to do for my life, like my uni work, and then talk about my hobby at the same time. It's been really good.
Yeah, there's a guy in my chat called Buckets. He is often in the chat here as well, but he's often setting up Discord chats, and Dreamer, Cameron in here as well. They'll just jump in the audio, and if you're free, you know, they'll just come talk shop. And often with the guys who are in America or in Europe, they'll be finishing the work for the day and I'll be at work, but I'll still jump in that voice call just to chat with them and, you know, stay connected. Even though I'm working from home, I was doing this, you guys couldn't see me, but I was pretending to be typing. But I would chat with them, and again, just keeps me connected, keeps me entertained, and keeps me grounded while I'm working from home, very disconnected as well. So that's, I think, community is important.
Yeah.
As Sean said, technology.
Use
it. I like that.
But yeah. But yeah, so like honestly, the community's just been like helping me out with it, and now I'm excited about new hobby projects. And like, I kid you not, probably after we finish this episode, I'll probably start Catacross, or I'll probably start my daughters.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to call out something that MB said here, and he said his local's doing a Blood Bowl league. So I've been playing a bunch of other games outside of Age of Sigmar. Obviously, I can't play physical games, but you know, being playing things like Blood Bowl. You mentioned Warhammer Online, Underworld Online. I know people playing tabletop sim, Call of Duty. There's lots of other cool games you can still play with community members, not necessarily having to be Sigmar.
Like so me and Kenny, right? Kenny's in the chat. Me and Kenny have never played a game of AOS, right? He lives in Queensland, or like he lives northern New South Wales or Queensland, yeah? Double checking.
He's up north.
He's up north. And kid you not, like 2 or 3 nights ago, I hit him up being like, hey, do you want to play Underworlds online? We have not played a game of AOS at all. We played like 4 or 5 rounds of Underworlds. And like just like just casually just talked about life, casually talked about like what we've been working on, hobby. Like he told me about this amazing idea that he wants to do for a corn army, which apparently you don't approve, but we'll talk about that later.
He sends me crazy list tech. Like he sent me an army with like 5 units or 6 units of Shadow Warriors. I'm like, what are you doing, Kenny?
Well, apparently he wants to paint his corn army yellow, like Golden Demon. I think that's the most genius idea ever. But anyways, but like we got to talk about that, and that was kind of cool. That we're like, I'm not playing AOS, but I'm playing a Warhammer game or something online with someone who I haven't actually even had a proper game with, which I would love to still. But I got to like, and that again back there, just talking to someone from the community really got me like excited about doing some hobby. I couldn't do hobby straight after the online game because we played till like midnight, but yeah, it was good.
Well, Cameron/Dreamer and I have been playing a bit of Blood Bowl together, which has been really cool. I can see Marek Wolf has been, playing a bit of Mordheim as well. So there's a Mordheim game. There's the Total War Warhammer as well. There's a lot of cool Warhammer games that you can still play to keep within the universe without having to be physically connected by Age of Sigmar tabletop. So that's definitely, and Kenny said as well, he had a great time with you. So all hugs, all quarantine hugs.
He
virtually.
beat the crap out of me, but yeah, it was a great time.
But, again, going back to what Sean said about technology, we've got other ways of connecting. We've got these video games, whether it's Warhammer or not Warhammer. I've noticed heaps of my American friends, the Adepticon crew, they've been playing this game. I think you've been playing it as well, Animal Crossing. I imagine animals walking across a street crossing so cars don't run them over. But like there are other games that we can stay connected, Pokemon and I don't know, you cool kids with your games. Vermintide is another game. But long story short, I've seen a whole bunch of things on Twitter and in these groups that have said, add me to my Steam ID. Here is my Pokemon logon, or, add me as a friend on Animal Crossing, and we can play together and stay connected without having to be physically together.
Yeah, it's a weird time in the world, but we're getting around it.
Don't ask me any more questions about Animal Crossing or anything, but like I've hit my level. I've hit my peak between that Witcher guy and Animal Crossing and Pokemon. Like, this is the behavioral stretch.
I love how you still call him the Witcher guy, even though someone told you his name 5 times.
Henry.
Yeah, good.
Henry, like, we're BFFs. I'm going to add him on LinkedIn where we're like...
You got to follow him on Twitter. I'd be like, I am the coach of Warhammer.
I mean, I'll add him on LinkedIn, professional. But there's a lot of cool games, man. There's a lot of cool games. And I think, again, what's really cool is that we have this digital and global community. So you can tap into that. And we all have a common love of Warhammer. And if you're a Pokemon player and I'm a Pokemon player, we now have Warhammer and Pokemon together. So, we've got something to build a relationship off.
Exactly. But that was like the one thing that helping me out with getting out of that burnout.
I've been told I have to grudge the Witcher guy at CanCon. I think he's a 40k player.
Call him the name that he is.
Superman.
Oh.
All right, chill out. Henry.
Let's call him Cavill.
Right,
anyways,
Cavill.
Right, Cav.
But so we talked about community. We've talked about the importance of community, staying connected with our communities. We've talked about things like video games that can help us stay connected, whether it's Warhammer or not Warhammer. What else has helped you with your hobby burn?
This awesome project that I worked on last week, which I sent you photos of, and it's the most exciting thing I've done, which was a new display cabinet and LED lights, so I can actually display my army properly. So I spent some time. My room's a mess. Like, my room has been a mess because all I've done is I've been working full time and studying full time and trying to manage a girlfriend at the same time, like trying to like go in and out and be social at the same time during this crazy time. And I had to sort out my room, and half my room is legitimately like, it was like my floor was covered with like Warhammer cases and everything. It was a freaking mess. Like, I legitimately had my CanCon army like on the floor being like, yep, there it is. And then I decided like, cool, I'm actually need to like clean this up and fix it. And like I kid you not, I think did 2 IKEA trips, bought some LED lights, and got it all like fixed. So if anyone wants to see it, it's on Twitter, at Shadowhammer_. That kid you not, that got me like doing it. And I remember sending you photos, being me, like showing you how proud I am of it.
Yeah.
Because it, like, seeing my army on display right now and having it all lit up and everything has made me gone like, cool. I really want to get more stuff done. Like, I really want to fill out, like, because I got the 2 shelves currently empty, and I know that some of the OBR is like broken or like needs being fixing. So seeing that has gotten me, like, made me want to like fix it and get it all done. So yeah.
It's funny you say that as well, because anyone with an observant eye on YouTube or Facebook would recognize that my background's different as well. So I actually spent some time reorganizing my studio, which funnily enough, my wife's now taken over because she's now working from home as well. So she's got her little flowers here that I bought because I'm a good husband. But I'd rearranged and I bought myself a new monitor. I've gone out and bought some new cabinets. I've rearranged some things, cleaned up some hobby space and things that I wouldn't have done normally, or it would have taken me a long time because I'm painting for a tournament. I'm practicing. I'm going out there playing games. I'm using this opportunity to kind of restructure my hobby space. I bought myself a second paint rack so I can now not have all my paints in a pile. I've gone out and thrown out a bunch of stuff, whether it's old sprues, whether it's stuff that I just haven't used, or I'm using the buy and sells as well to potentially sell some things. Just trying to get like life maintenance out of the way.
Like another thing I've done, so my desk space, like my room is medium size. Like I have my bed and like wardrobe and stuff, but my desk is quite small. Like it's very thin, so I actually don't have a lot of room. Like, kid you not, all I have my laptop here where you guys are looking at, I have my monitor here, and then I have keyboard and stuff, but I don't actually have any like proper hobby room, and like my PlayStation's taking up heaps of my space. So like one of the other things I've been doing is getting my desk cleared out. So I've been moving stuff, like got another display cabinet, like a TV thing, so I can put stuff there that I don't use often, just so now I can make space so I can have like a hobby section and like a workstation, so I can like go in and out. So it's just been like life maintenance stuff to be able to like clean it out so I can be like, cool, I have room to hobby. If that makes sense. Like I can like, because like right now, if I look at my desk right now, I'll be like, I do not want to put a paintbrush anywhere near this. Like it's too messy. It'll get like really cluttered, and like I'll be back to what I had issues with at CanCon, where like I had back issues. So I want to get it cleared up so I can be like comfortable, relax, and be able to do it.
This kind of also ties in nicely what New Junk City said, where he said that, now they've kind of hit a milestone with the army. You can paint palette cleansers, now that things have shut down. So if you've always been painting witch elves, this is a nice little palette cleanser to paint some 40K. I know I was talking to Clint about he was painting some 40K. I'd love to paint a Primaris Marine. I have no interest in collecting 40K, but painting something a little bit different. I've mentioned, Blood Bowl. I've got an ogre coming pretty soon that I'm going to start painting. Some palette cleansers that, the endless spells are palette cleansers. They're something that's kind of different. They're simple. They're easy. I can play with some different colors and some techniques, and they're not directly tied to my army. So that's a really good call out. And I'll call out another thing that Sean has said, which I think is a really good call. And he was talking about the importance of getting out of your hobby space and making sure that it's also, getting some form of exercise, whether it's going for walks. I bought an exercise bike so I can work out at home now, especially because we're kind of going into the winter months. But I've also outside got some weights so I can do some basic weight training, and a skipping rope as well, so I can start doing some physical training that now that I can't go to the gym because it's closed. But it's also getting outside and taking, frequent breaks and getting some sun, or, walking up the road a couple of times just to stay physically active. Otherwise, you're just in home 24/7 kind of going insane.
Like for my thing, and I know this is like for other people as well, like when you go insane inside, like if you're like hobbying heaps, like for anyone who's like not going through burnout but might be going through burnout, when I was feeling the burnout before CanCon, kid you not, when I was like in pain with my back and stuff, kid you not, I remember I had my girlfriend here and she was watching me paint, and I just like got up, walked out, and I just went for a walk for like an hour. Like I just went to walk around my neighborhood for an hour, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I just went out for a walk, and I just needed like that fresh air because I knew I was going crazy. I was like, this is going to do my head in. And you know, when I came back after that 1 hour walk of fresh air and like stretching my back and everything, I was energized enough to keep going. If that makes sense, like it
makes perfect sense. Anyone who goes to the gym would know that sometimes you're having a rubbish day and you're like, I'm not going to go to the gym. And then you convince yourself look, I'm going to go to the gym for 5 minutes. I'm just going to do 5 minutes, or I'm going to do one exercise. And you never just stay at the gym for one exercise. You know, you get the kind of the endorphins going that gets you to feel and change different. And, you know, and Horace as well talked about, you know, kick bag and punching bag. I've got a boxing bag as well. And if you've got something like that, find you, right? Like I've got a yoga mat for my wife. You know, there's a whole bunch of things that you guys can do to be physically active. Hell, there was a Twitter challenge recently that I got tagged in that was like doing 10 push-ups. And then what happened?
Was it like 10 push-ups and then Chuck had to do like 10 of them?
So what happened was, I think it was Chuck Moore and Mr. Mephisto started some random challenge that happened when I was asleep. And then somehow I got tagged. I think I might have commented like, yeah, good work, 10 push-ups. And I got tagged. And then what happened is I did 10 push-ups, and then, you know, you're meant to tag 2 other people. And then all of a sudden, Vince Venturalla's smashing like 25 or 50 push-ups. Yeah. And then it became this, like, people are doing push-ups with their kid or their wife on their shoulders and like lifting their dogs and some crazy stuff. But and I know Fraser as well from the New Zealand, he's been doing like, I think 10 or 20 push-ups 25 push-ups for 25 days. So that's that social element as well as the physical element as well, because we're all kind of like pushing each other.
Yeah, exactly. I remember seeing that. It was just like, it was weird. I was like, what does Twitter turn into? Like a fitness workout?
But it was organic. It was just a way for us to connect, whether it's, and I know some friends, you know, who are a part of like those F45 gyms. They do like body training via Zoom. So if you've got a friend and you want to work out together, or maybe do some yoga or whatever, you can use your technology to keep yourself either using like the Chris Hemsworth, or whatever fitness guru you subscribe to do some workouts at home, or to again, if you're someone who likes to be connected with, you know, your community, maybe exercise together.
Yeah. That kind of stuff does help.
And some people find that brotherhood and sisterhood with their gym rats, with their running buddies, with the people who like to do boot camps together. So finding that community, whatever that looks like. It's surprising how many fitness people are sitting in our Warhammer community. Like Hayden Walker and Chuck Moore are 2 of those many examples who are leading that fitness charge. And, you know, if you want to learn more, Strength Hammer has a whole bunch of like workouts at home. So, and I think they're free. So check that out. Yeah,
I need to get that all started as well when I have the time.
You can do weight. You can do like, you know, exercises on your chair, and, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do without actually being at the gym. But I think we kind of hit this nail on the head, which is doing physical exercise and getting outside, not being stuck in the house 24/7. And yes, DDP yoga, Diamond Dallas Page yoga, is awesome.
Yeah, like another thing that I'm trying to think that also helps me out is, I kid you not, just buying one thing. Like, I think the only purchase I've made so far was Catacross. And if I didn't make that purchase, I don't think I would be driven enough to build him right now, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Like,
just like, you don't have to buy a whole army. Like, I'm about to when the stores are open again. But being able to buy something where you go, cool, I really want to get this done when I got the time. So, like, yeah, as I said, I'm looking at him right now being like, I really want to get him done.
Well, you can take it slow, right? Like, if you've always wanted to build Nagash, or, you know, you've always wanted an Archeon, or an Alariel, or some type of big centerpiece model, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
If you've always wanted to convert and kit bash your own thing, whether you've ever wanted to write a story about your army and where it comes from and the heroes and the lore, this is the time you can do it.
Exactly. It's like, as I said, like when it comes to people who want to travel and stuff, like this is like the time. If you want to do like a big trip, this is like the time to save up and then do that big trip. Or like anything like that. It's just it. As much as the world is crappy at the moment, there's always a way to like get it done. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Look, Marek Wolf's mentioned, that this is a time to do some crazy conversions. Like, so with like my Cities of Sigma, I used my Celestin Prime's Hurricanum. Sorry, the swirl on the Hurricanum. So now I've got this prime that I don't have a swirl for. But I'm like, what does this look like? And I'm kind of playing around with, little conversions. And obviously this is not the model. Like I just chucked it on top. But I'm like, how do I use this and what can I do? And, there's been some pretty crazy conversions and kit bashings as well. And it feels like we're going to come out of this with some pretty crazy armies, whether they're well painted, whether they're different and unique, whether they're kit bashed. I think the level of hobby potential is going to be the greatest that we've ever seen because we don't have the rush.
Yeah. Like I reckon, like I remember sending you photos of my original idea for a cauldron. I don't even remember when I put it on a Leviathan. Do you remember that time?
Yes. Yep.
So one of my things I want to do is get that done. Like actually get it done and be like, I have done this. And I'm super like, I love, like as most people may know me from following me on Twitter, I love doing big centerpiece models. Like my Arcan, even though I didn't do any conversions of him, but I was super proud of how I painted him. Like that's one of the things I always enjoyed doing. So one of the things I want to do is get that done and then also do a Bloodrack Shrine with a Carnosaur riding it. So yeah, like I've already started it. Like it's one of those things where I started it, but I just never got it done. So like those kind of projects is the thing that I want to do with the Daughters of Cain army. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time, whether it's you clearing your backlog like I'm doing. I'm holding out until the Gargants come out. So I'm trying to I'm going to buy Blood Bowl, and I've gone out and I've supported Forge World and I've bought myself a $100 voucher or $200 voucher to get the extra credit. But I want to go buy the star players. I want to go buy the cheerleaders. I want to go buy the human upgrade kit. There's like an additional 4 different posed humans. So like that's going to be my reward coming out of this. But in the meantime, I have about 60 Flesh Eater Court ghouls that I always wanted to paint like White Walkers, like in icy blue. I've got the Flagellants that I've talked about. I've got about 80 Brimstone Horrors that still need to be completed. I've got that Lord of Change. I've got so many things that are sitting here. I've gone out and bought all the stuff that I want to use for my CanCon display board. So I'm starting to plan my CanCon display board. Yeah. So I've got all this time.
Just letting everyone know, yes, Magro has already thought about his display board for 2021. Like,
I've designed it. I've got a crack idea. I think the question is going to be, will Gargants derail my crack idea? I came third, but if you're not first, you're last. So I'm going for number 1, and I'm going to prepare if Blake Kerr was going to be there as well. But This is the opportunity to build that display board. I had a really great chat about a month ago with Martin Orlando. We talked about presenting and building out a display board. This is the time to learn how to cut foam, to manipulate, pour resin, build out that 2x2 for Armies on Parade, which is going to be hopefully in that September-October period. This is the time to do it, to prepare potentially for the ever-chosen painting competition, to put the time in for like a Golden Demon entry for next year. So I guess that's where I'm thinking about what can I do with this time without putting too much pressure on myself, because I still need to like mentally and physically be on point, but at the same time not put too much pressure on myself.
Yeah, I haven't thought about CanCon 2021 yet. I think what's going to happen to me for that one is just going to be like, what have I got done this year? Because the other thing as well is like ETC 2021. Like I'll be practicing armies for that. But yeah, like it's just one of those things where like those big events now that we're waiting for next year are just going to be next level. Like,
well, I'm thinking about CanCon because I'm still preparing for Sydney GT, which is scheduled for October. And I've been 3D printing the hell out of additional terrain. So I know that my life is going to get busy leading into October. So I want to do some work now so that I'm ready to capitalize and maximize for CanCon. I do want to have a great display, and I'd like to challenge for first. So this is the time to do it. At least prepare and start the process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like as Horace said, like this Brishammer, which I don't know if there's a date yet or anything. Like I know I want to go to that. So that's the other thing as well. Like even though I don't know when that event is, I do want to get Daughters done for it. So when I go there, it's like a new, fresh army.
Yeah.
Which is helping me push through the burnout.
Interesting question from Zach that's come up that I'll call out now is that, and I felt this in the community with the Warhammer reveals. So the question doesn't allude to an army, but I can almost guarantee you I know the army we're talking about. So the question is, how would you stay motivated in the Warhammer hobby in particular if a certain release and preview that disappointed you put a sour taste in your mouth for everything else Warhammer related? Now, the underlying tone here is it may be a set of elves that worship a cow god. I'm being blunt. We're talking about the Lumineth. The Lumineth aren't my army, never were going to be my army, so I will reserve my judgment. Gargants were always the thing that stole my heart. I'm not an elf kind of player. But what are your thoughts on this? We are releasing new models. There are some people that are coming out of the old world who have been waiting for this release, whether it's going to be the disappointment that Tomb Kings players might have had with the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, maybe the high elf players or the traditional elf players looking at the Lumineth. What are your thoughts on? I don't want to rubbish Lumineth. I think they're a great sculpt, but I know that some of the looks have disappointed some people.
Okay. Zach, I'm going to be real with you. I once was very disappointed about a very particular army that I invested a lot of money in. It's not a new army, but it was an army that I invested a lot of time in, and that was my Sylvaneth. I think Anthony remembered when the book got leaked, I was not happy. Like, I think my first reaction was, this is trash. I cried. I lost a lot of my things. I was super upset about it. Like, I actually was pretty pissed. Like, I was like, I just put so much money. Like, I bought how many trees to play competitive Sylvaneth? Like, so many.
You had 110 dryads. I feel no sympathy for you.
Shut up. Anyways.
No sympathy from you with the rubbish that you pulled me having one dryad near your wildwood and the whole unit gets friggin' -1 to hit and then you summon more for free. There's no sympathy. But that's not the question. The question is about the disappointment with these reveals. Because for some people, they've been really looking forward to this. That's their next project. They're like...
That was the thing, though. Like, I then finally gave them time, I guess. Like, I actually started playing them, and then I worked out a list that I liked. Like, I picked the models. Like, I've always liked Kernov Hunters, and I spammed the crap out of them. I ran 18 of them. But, like, when it comes to being motivated with an army that you're not happy with, or, like, if that was, like, the thing that you were saving up for to ready to drop money in, like, that's probably, like, as what I would do is, like, if there was models there that you do like just say, like, there's a hero or anything there that you liked, grab that hero, see if it sparks your imagination. One thing that I always like doing is converting. Like, I freaking, like, if there was a style that you like an army that has already been made that you like, there's always ways that you can make it, like, your own in a way. Like, I'm sure with the high elves, if you want it to be more like dark elf aesthetic, you can just, like, switch some parts over, do something different where it's like the army that you wanted.
Well, I think most people are disappointed by the heads. I think they think the heads look like basketball heads or like a basketball hoop. And my response would be to go find some old high elf heads or go find a third-party manufacturer that has heads that you like.
Yeah.
If you don't like the big cow bull, don't take it.
Don't take it.
If you don't like tech, I had this conversation with a few people a few weeks ago. And if you don't like the head of that techless beast, go find a different head. Go put a Free Guild Griffin head on it. Go find something that was more aesthetically pleasing to you. But I do appreciate and recognize your disappointment if your expectations were that this was the new High Elves. But that's probably another point there as well, is that they were never going to be the new High Elves, just like the Ossiarch Bone Reapers were never going to be the Tomb Kings reimagined.
Like I knew for a fact, like I was super excited about a few of my OBR models. Like I was super excited for some of the models that were coming out. And some of the rules aren't as great. And I'm a competitive player, and it kind of bummed me out a bit. I was like, this is not what I wanted. But I picked the things that I liked. Like, and I did the same with my flesh eaters. Like it always happens where like you find an army that you like. There might be some models that you do like, and there's some parts of them that you don't like, and you just switch them out. Like I didn't like Sisters of Slaughterheads. Like I really don't like them. So I just swapped them to be Witch Elf heads, and I just made sure that when I paint them, I can tell the difference of what's a Witch Elf and what's a Sister of Slaughter. Like there's always a ways around it.
Yeah. And if at the end of the day they're not for you, then move along. Go find something else. I obviously want you to stay in the hobby, but there's no point forcing yourself to unless you can find something you really enjoy. But back on the topic, Liam, is there anything else? Like what else kind of kept your juices flowing? I know for me, painting models and just doing something every day. Even if I wasn't able to allocate half an hour or an hour or a couple of hours a day, just being able to, to put a lick of paint, 10 minutes, half an hour into my hobby. And over time, I'm completing tasks. And if I'm not feeling into it, don't force myself to do it. Find something that I enjoy. It might just be, building a model, cleaning a mold line. It might be just building or painting. I love the Games Workshop gold, as Liberator gold. Painting Liberator gold and then putting some Regal and Flesh Shade. That's something I enjoy, and like forget the rest. Just do what I enjoy the most, and then slowly you kind of build that excitement.
Yeah, like what I've been doing is just like, as I said, like doing a little bit of tasks to make me motivated. But like when it comes to actual hobby, like one of my things that I will be doing is like if I don't have time, like if I have like stuff for uni and stuff, what I would be doing is grabbing my Daughters of Cain, grab a sprue, build a couple. Like I'll literally be like, cool, I'm just going to build 5 out of the 10 and then put them aside and then go on and do real life stuff, or do my real life stuff, then build 5 and then go to sleep. Like there's, as you said, little tasks can help out so much. It's one of those things where, sorry, these comments have been made. I was like, what's going on?
The comments are gold.
The comments are gold. But yeah, like, and the other thing as well is that that helps me motivate is putting on something that you enjoy watching as well. If that makes sense. Like Netflix is killing it at the moment with the amount of stuff they've been putting on. There's Disney Plus now. So like, to give you a cool idea of some cool motivation, Ashby Kewen tried to finish a whole Lord of the Rings project that he set aside, and he wanted to be finished by him finishing watching Return of the King.
That's a cool challenge.
So he was like, cool, I have these 4 models and I want them done by the time this movie's finished. And it was like 2 Gandalfs and like, I don't know, the half
the Grimly. Yeah, it was a couple of really cool models.
Yeah, he was just like, he wanted them done. Like he says like, this is my goal. He didn't get it done, but it did motivate him to keep going. And he didn't get that burnout. Like this guy, if anyone doesn't know who Ashby Kewen is, Ashby Kewen, like Warhammer's very heavily involved around him because he, is heavily involved in it. And he is not burnt out. Like I've never had him ever complain saying like, I'm not keen on hobbying, because he always finds a way to like keep going. Like he watches Twitch streams. He watches, he reads audiobook, like listens to audiobooks and stuff. Like he's very like, he has things like keep him motivated, but he's not.
It's in the blood. And that's a really good call out as well. We've had a couple of preview seminars that have happened, and they've, the likes of Wade and the crew like Ben Bailey, they've all been doing the previews live on Twitch. So getting involved in the comment section of the Twitch chat has been really cool. There's been I've been up at midnight kind of watching the live reveals of the Daughters of Cain, the Gargants, the Lumineth. looking at some of the new stuff that's coming out for 40K and the other games. And it's been awesome kind of getting involved in the chat. And, you know, you mentioned the audio dramas. They had the Soul Wars book for $1 or $1.50, 99p. Like, go buy them. You know, that's a way for you to learn about the lore, to get a different kind of view of Age of Sigmar, and you might find new inspiration. You might find inspiration to find that Death Army, or you might find something in Soul Wars that wants you to explore that mortal realm. There's a lot of stuff that you can do.
I kid you not, when, as most people may have been listening from us before, I watch heaps of anime. Like, I don't know if anyone can see this, but I have heaps of Pokemon. Also, Magro last week learnt the word weeb. Like, that's
not last week. Mr. Mephisto's a weeb. Like, I know
so, like, people can see, like, here. So, like, what I do when I hobby is I put on a series that I've watched before. Like, it's like something that I've watched before, like, heaps of times. Could be an old one, and I just watch it while I hobby, and that keeps me going. Like, I just watch it, and also I use it as a timer. Like, I know that every episode goes for 23 minutes. So every time when I go through an episode, I'm like, cool, it's been 23 minutes. Okay, cool, it's been 23 minutes. Like, I'm keeping myself track of how fast I'm going through the project. Like, you don't actually have, like, a stopwatch on you. You just have that there to, like, keep you, like, track kind of thing. So that's another thing. It's just, like, find something that you enjoyed watching before, like a movie or anything, and you will, honestly, like, it helps out a lot.
And, you know, Wes has made a really good comment as well. You know, the Go Trek book is just incredible. That was a really great book. You know, there's if you have children, there are children's books both for 40K and Age of Sigmar. They've put out different things like little colouring in exercises, whether it's from Warhammer community or a community member by the name of Scrivo, John Scrivo, has been putting out little colouring in exercises based around Warhammer Age of Sigmar and 40K. So there are other little different ways. And there was a Carriage and Overlords little game that Warhammer community put out the other week. But there's a lot of different lore, whether you are a visual and auditory learner, so checking out the likes of 2 Plus Tough Doug, or going on to a Warhammer audiobook. Whether you are a reader, this might be a great time to revisit things like the End Times or one of the different various Age of Sigmar books. You know, there's so many great ones. I know the Gloomsplat Gits one is one that I need to pick up. What are you doing?
Horace's comment, best thing ever. Honestly, awesome.
I just discovered Neon Genesis event. Yeah, I used to watch that as a kid as well.
But yeah, so like this is the thing, like you get to like this, as we said before, technology, use it. Like you don't have to use technology just to socialize. You can use it for entertainment. And it's just one of those things where like even music, you just have to have something going. Like you don't want to do your hobby in like complete quietness. Like we talked about this before in his episodes where you got to keep it like interesting and stuff. Like one thing I actually about to start doing, and I know some people probably don't have this like luxury, but like I'm actually getting my girlfriend to paint with me, kind of thing, to help me through the burnout because she's really keen on it. Knowing my luck, she's probably going to be part of CanCon 2021.
She'll probably beat you as well. She'll probably beat you in the rankings.
Yeah, I just hope she doesn't join us for Saturday night shenanigans. But yeah, so like it's just one of those things where like being able to like get someone to hobby with you, even if it's like through Zoom. Like as we talked before, like there's gaming groups who are doing Zooming. So you have friends who usually like go to the store with and paint with. Just hit up with them on Zoom and do a video chat and just talk to them about them all and stuff. And it honestly, like it really does help. Like
I've seen a few people get their partners in, and I think naturally, you know, in this environment where we lock down a little bit, you know, they're seeing us enjoying ourselves and they're painting, and they're sick of scrolling Facebook or playing Words with Friends or whatever your partner might be doing, and they might show an interest in painting a model or learning what you do. So I've seen a few people do battle reports with their partners, or just to play a different game, whether it might be reliving something like Warhammer Quest, whether it's like Silver Towers, whether it's going to be playing something simple, or you know, playing something a bit more complicated. You might want to throw your partner into a 2,000 point match play game, but you know, getting them involved and keeping them active might be a great way to introduce them into the hobby, but also to keep yourself entertained as well.
Yeah, like it's just having them like, yeah, I've just been very lucky with mine. Like you've met her, she's very interested in the hobby, and yeah, she's just like keen to do it. So like that, there's gonna be helping me out, like getting her to be able to build and paint a model, and then like doing one with her will just keep me like motivated throughout the burnout, or like to maybe get me out of this burnout. Yeah. So yeah.
I know for me, I see Andrew Bigwood's talked about, the Doctor Who audio dramas have kind of kept him entertained. I know for me, what keeps me entertained is like Viking metal, like a monomath that's just like absolutely high paced Viking metal that just kind of just keeps that tempo up. And I'm just like, I've got to paint, or I'm going to be raided by a rival clan and, killed. So I better paint this model. But whatever works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so you know, by the way, I got Tabletop Simulator.
What, just then?
Yeah.
It's good. It is really good. It is. I've enjoyed my experience so far. It was actually really easy to play. And if this does go for 6 to 12 months, I'd rather learn now and start to practice, because people are having fun. They've been streaming in various places, and it's a nice way to play a game with someone across the world that you would never normally play against. You were going to ETC once in a year kind of event, that you could play someone in Germany, in France, the international language of Warhammer.
I just need to practice. Like, as you know, I love smashing out games. Like, I think like that's the big part with me, is like once I get an army built, like even if it's not painted, I still somehow play so many games. So for me, it's just very much like that's the part for me where like I think the big part for me with my burnout was my bad experience with some of the games at CanCon. Like if I had 6 great games, win or loss, I would have probably not go through this burnout as much. But the fact that like my experience was, yeah, that's
a couple of other hints that so I asked the Discord a little bit before this, and I said, what's some advice, or what's some hints that you would share for hobby burnout. So if I look at Stepador's talked about finding some of those projects that you might have had as lower priorities, some things that look like fun, whether it's going to be the Squeak Herd model, whether it's the Mask of Slaanesh. You can either play around with them and paint them up, or potentially look for opportunities for kit bashing. Go dig out your bits box and go create some amazing pieces. I saw a piece the other day, I think it was today actually, where I saw someone convert like a 40k troll. So it was a Troggoth with like the mechanical body, so it had like robot legs, and it was all like very 40k-esque. But have some fun with it. Do you explore something that you might never explore before? What else? I know Rocco, for example, has been teaching a whole bunch of people tabletop sim, or I know a few people have been teaching Blood Bowl, teaching different things. The list building as well has been, again, giving back to the community has been really helpful. I know Tim Barclay, the Aussie Wargamer, has mentioned things like, setting goals, seeking feedback from others, so you're always learning, working on different things like terrain, break it up and work on things like terrain, whether it's painting terrain, whether it's building your own terrain from, say, compressed foam, or
I'll get someone to 3D print it for you.
No, he's got a tournament to organize. Things like, you mentioned earlier about 40K, Lord of the Rings. Pask had said to me, he's really enjoyed exploring things like 40K and Middle-earth, taking those little breaks and trying something different, and then refreshing the palette.
I'm not going to lie. Even though we are an Age of Sigma show, me and Ash have been thinking about doing like a little force of 40K, just so we can like break it up. And there's like one army that speaks to me louder than anything else, and that is Drakari, because it's legitimately just emo elves. I
would have expected you to be a Harlequins person, personally.
I don't know how that makes me feel, but yeah, I'm that as well. But it's just been one of those things where like looking at like, and that's another thing that's been helping out with the burnout, has been looking at other games. Like I've been looking at 40K. I looked at Warcry. I looked at Warcry again. I was like, what can I get at Warcry? And the annoying part is I can't buy any of it is because of the stores closed. But I do have a very large shopping list.
Well, I hope Clint doesn't mind if I share this, but one of the Clint's projects right now is he is building out a 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy army. So he's old undead, or as the old vampire counts.
Yeah.
And he's going buying old models that he would have had as a childhood and repainting a 1,500, 2,000 point, 1,000 point army with only models from that era. So he's hunting them down through buy and sells and eBay, and applying the new techniques and the schemes that he learns today to create a better army that he would have had as a kid, which I think as a passion project, that's exceptional. It's something that, again, without this environment, you would have never thought of that and you never would have done.
That's pretty cool. Especially since he sold his whole death army. That's pretty baller. That's pretty cool.
Setting up for the old world wars that have been talked about, or if nothing more, it's going to look great on his hobby space. That he has old kits like the old vampires, like the old bat swarms, the old metal ghouls. Like, that's a cool project. And his paint is obviously transformed over 10 to 15 years since he was a kid.
Yeah, as I'm looking right now with my armies, I'm looking at my FEC army and my OBR army, and in the space of a year, I can already see my painting improving. So if I went back to that FEC army, which I'm not going to do that for the 3rd time, but I could definitely tell that it would be a way different look. So yeah.
I know other people as well have found real benefit in, I usually paint in batches of 10 to 20 on average. Like, I'll paint 20 models at a time. Yeah. I'm a horde player, so I play a lot of hordes. So a horde player plays a lot of hordes. But I paint a lot of hordes in that style. So I'll do batches of 20 to batches of 30. Yeah. But some people have said to me, pardon?
You do heaps of elves. I know.
Anyway, Liam, that people have found real benefits slowing that and bringing it back to units of 5 or units of 10 or units of 1, just painting singular models again without the rush. They can put more time, love, and focus. And
I gotta say, I enjoy painting heroes more than units.
Then paint all your heroes. If you're struggling right now and you're like, oh, go buy a bunch of heroes. If you've got the old Warhammer Quest, it's a whole bunch of heroes in that. Go buy Underworld.
That's why I'm excited to do Catacross. That's why I'm excited to do that conversion of a shrine. That's why I'm excited to do all this stuff. Is because they're heroes and they're centerpiece models. Catacross is a huge centerpiece model. But it's all that kind of stuff that just is keeping me sane. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different things to consider when it comes to our mental health. It's a challenging time, and it's important not to put too much pressure. I think talking to some people, this is a hobby. This is ultimately a hobby. This is not a profession. This is meant to spark joy. Like that. I bring spark joy, but I don't know the Witcher. But the point is that this should bring fun. And without these tournament deadlines, without things that you're forcing you to do something that you've got to do, take advantage. Go find your thing. Go find your jam, and share it. I think sharing is probably the last piece that I would advise. Is that nothing has been more motivating is when I share a hobby progress photo or something that I've completed and put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put it wherever I want to put it on my social group, and getting feedback and people saying, hey, I love that scheme. I like what you did. Well done. That looks great. That's just so rewarding. And, people are generally pretty kind. Not just because I'm on YouTube, but people are generally kind in the hobby. So put yourself out there, and that will keep the hobby juices flowing. You're getting that kind of that positive reinforcement.
Even when I haven't even painted something, I would write a list and send it out to people, and just getting people's feedback, good or bad. It was good. I was sick. This is getting me excited. Not thinking about other things and stuff. The biggest debate was like Shadow Warriors against Heart Renderers, but like that kind of thing just got me back into like the mojo of like what am I looking for when I'm writing like a list, which was like my favorite part of the hobby was like list building and building armies. So yeah.
Which for me, funnily enough, my favorite part of the hobby is building.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the building component, and I've got a whole bunch of sprues that I haven't built, and that's why one of the first things I did was build my Lord of Change. I haven't painted it, haven't primed it, but I
really
built
like
it.
the smell. You really like the smell of plastic glue.
I just enjoy. I find it relaxing. I enjoy scraping mold lines. I would happily be a commission builder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really enjoy the process, and kit bashing obviously is a lot of fun as well. But spending time doing what you enjoy and chipping away, making small pieces of progress, you'll be surprised if you just do a little bit of progress every day, every week. Yeah. You'll look back at this time and realize how far you've come by doing small little progress steps, and then doing things like hobby hangouts on Skype, on Zoom, on YouTube, whatever. Keeps you motivated along the way.
Yeah, exactly. I really just now, every time now, like I'm looking at this cabinet, I'm just like, I really just want to do hobby now. It's been good. Like, I kid you not, these LED lights have literally been like sparked my joy.
There you go. There you go. Right. Go buy some LED lights and show off your stuff.
Yeah, like if anyone needs help with like LED lights or picking right ones, just hit me up on Twitter. I'm more than happy to talk LED lights. They're so much fun. But yeah, it's just like, even like as we said, life admin, like honestly, if you're really feeling the burnout, just clear out your hobby space and find you. I bet you, like when I cleared out my hobby space about 6 months ago, I found so much shit that I completely forgot I had. Like I've realized I had like about 1,000 points of Deepkin, which I thought I sold, but apparently I didn't. Like you just clear things out and you just start realizing like there's cool things that you can do. So yeah.
Yeah, I found some 3rd edition cheerleaders from my old Blood Bowl and then the old Morgan Thorg. So it's surprising I found the old Goblin Green paints as well. I've organized all my paints by colors on a rack. I've cleaned out all my paintbrushes. I got like the masters cleaning and just did little things that are setting me up for success.
Yeah, which is a good start.
I feel like we're kind of wrapping up here. Is there any final comments or thoughts about hobby burnout that you want to make before we kind of close out?
If your hobby burnout is due to mental health, we do have a mental health episode that we did in December.
It was just before Christmas.
December. Have a listen to that because we also give you a guide. Like we talked about like how to kind of like help you out with all that kind of stuff. And generally it's kind of similar lines to what we talked about, but there's like other things like who to go to and everything as well. So, like especially during these tough times of isolation stuff, everyone probably isn't mentally okay. I myself gone through it recently, but I've been getting back up, which has been good. And yeah, like honestly, have a listen to that episode. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff that could probably help you out. So yeah, that's another thing when it comes to hobby burnout. It's not probably just from you doing the hobby too much, or it might not be work. It might be mental health kind of thing. So yeah, that's just one thing I would like to add.
Yeah, look, there's a lot going on. You know, I've shared with a few people. One of my biggest piece of advice is right now is turn off the news. I feel like a lot of people are addicted to the news right now, and that is creating a whole bunch of pressure. Now, I'm not saying not to inform yourself. What I am saying is really think about the influences that are happening in your life, because you're being influenced and your behaviors are affecting others. So if you're feeling that the mental pressures or the social pressures, or, you know, you're concerned about your job security because you're seeing the GDP fall or whatever might be happening, it may not be real. And it's important just to step away sometimes, so it's not a constant feed on yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is taxing and tiring. It really is. When you're looking at the news 24/7, trying to wait for the latest piece of news, and you're hearing about death, you're hearing about job loss, you're hearing about things closing, and then you got the pressures of social media. That's really draining, and that sucks.
I'm going to give some people advice with what's going on right now. Is when it comes to the news, don't just search it on Google. Just find one source that you trust and just check it every now and then. That's it. Like you don't need to like check it 24/7. Check it once a day, being like, cool, what's up? And it's like, it's that one news, because like what's going on with the internet at the moment is like there is like 30 plus articles coming out every so often, like an hour. Of
every minute is just constant.
Yeah. But like half of it is literally just there so they can just get ad revenue kind of thing. Because most of those websites have ads everywhere. That's literally what they're like pumping out these things out. Find that one news person. Like if you like Channel 7. If you're around the world, go to the one that you like the most and just listen to them like once so often. Like you don't, like I myself realized that when I search it up, I'm like, oh my God, there's like 30 different articles. So I have to be very specific of which ones I look at kind of thing. And like, I even had a customer come up to me today being like, oh, I heard you guys are closing down. And I'm like, I work here and I have not been told anything. So I love how you know this before I do. And I literally I just quickly looked it up and I was like, just so you know, that's not real news. And she was just like, oh, well, I just looked it up. And I was like, I know you did because I just did. And what you read is wrong. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, it's just those things where like not every single news thing is right. So just go to the ones that you trust and like, that's it.
Yeah, learn to disconnect. Turn off your social media. Take these digital detoxes. Turn off the news.
Just stay on Netflix. Stay on whatever brings you joy. Like if playing video games during some downtime is your thing, go for it. Like if you what is it? If you enjoy listening to Spotify or like podcasts, just do that. And just, if they bring up what's going on in the world, like listen to that bit, but don't look back at it. Just like it's a pretty crappy time right now, but once this thing's all over in like 6 to 18 months or whatever long they're thinking, like it's going to be all uphill, as I said at the start of the show.
And my closing comments is that we're all in this together. I can't stress enough how important community is. And if you don't have a thriving community, try to find one or start one. The other day I put out a post on one of our Facebook groups and I said, introduce yourself. Like, tell us, when did you first start Warhammer? What's your favorite army? What was your first match? What's the next, this morning I put out a post asking what's the first thing that you're going to buy when Games Workshop reopens? You see the change that you want to see in the world. And if people are feeling down, feel free to step up and ask those questions, to schedule that hobby hangout, to post up those photos. If you are looking for a community, I have got the Discord link down below in the show notes, but no pressure to join mine. Go find another one. Go hang out with your own group. Just hang out with people. It's physical distancing, not social distancing. You don't have to socially disconnect from others.
Yeah, exactly. And if anyone gets into Tabletop Simulator, hit us up in the Discord because I'll be freaking playing. But yeah.
Great. That's a great shout. Tabletop Simulator. I feel like I should get a commission from this. It is a really good tool. I've been learning a lot.
I'm actually going to be super curious of how many downloads they get after this.
I'm pretty sure that they've already got a lot of downloads, to be fair. I don't think. But it is good, and it's going to give you your Age of Sigmar hit without being able to physically play on the tabletop. Liam, was absolutely lovely to have you back. Welcome back. It's been a long time. People have been asking for you to return. They wondered if I replaced you with Clint since the Heralds of War is postponed. And I said, not yet. Give Liam one last chance.
It's all right. It's okay. I'll just be like, I'm dead. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's good to talk about Warhammer. Freaking miss it. Like,
let's do this more often.
Yeah, we'll do it heaps more often. Let us know what we'll talk about more. What we're going to talk about in the next episode.
We'll make some things up. And as always, in the comment section is our Twitter handle. So if you've got an idea for a show, if you want a topic to explore, you want to share your hobby progress with us as well. Like we'd love to see what you're currently working on. So do send them across either on the Coach Facebook page, whether on the Discord, whether it's on Twitter, whatever your medium of choice is. Keep the hobby juices flowing and inspiring everyone. Seeing everyone's hobby projects just makes me want to do more, especially all the Gargants that are at the moment. Like I'm seeing all these cool Gargants and people are doing beards and people are converting Gargants. And it's just like
the Forge Rod one.
The Bone Grinder.
Yeah.
It's some awesome kits. I can't wait to see what people do with the Lumineth, because I'm seeing the Gargan stuff and it's incredible. People are going to get into these new kits and it's going to be a dream.
Oh yeah, As I said, I'm waiting for the Doors of Cain one because they look insane.
The Doors of Cain Underworlds look sick as well. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Like, I can't wait. Kid you not, just can't wait.
Kid you not. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, like, do all that stuff that I meant to say because I'm a YouTuber and like whatever the blah, blah, blah. Thanks to all the Patreons who keep this show going and making me eat all that expensive pasta and rice now. I would normally make a joke about rice, but it's like $1 million a kilo. So thank you, everyone. You know who you are. You guys are legends. And Liam, let's do this again soon. It was great to have you, and I hope you found this valuable, team, and you found a way to keep those hobby fuel going. If you've talked about something that we haven't discussed and you want to share it, put it in the comments or let us know, because this is a trying time and lots is going on. So peace out. Until next time.
What's it, Magro? Watch The Witcher.
No.
Watch The Witcher. Yes.
No. I watched it once.
6 episodes. It's 6 episodes. You can do it.
I watched one. There's one too many. I'm going back to Joe Exotic.
Just watch it. Then you can understand how awesome it is that he's doing Warhammer.
All right. I'll go. All right. Bye. See ya. Guten Tag.